as we saw it 10 to 15 years ago?
I'll start by looking at it with my military hat on first and foremost, and these gentlemen have enough experience in that area too, with first and foremost with the evolving threat and with our decreased demand for the type of technology that we produce. The last thing we want to do is not be able to meet any kind of warfighter requirement. So I think we're all unified in that mindset. We have become, and I, being the younger member of the panel, more inclined to be competimates, or competimates essentially is a new term now, where we will find ourselves competing in some areas, but we find ourselves partnering in more areas, I think, than we find ourselves competing in. The jobs issue is of obviously national concern. These are highly skilled jobs, not just from the primes and tier 2 providers, but also from a lot of the suppliers who provide boards, who provide advanced composites for platforms and so forth. So to not see these jobs continue to propagate is of a dramatic concern. And lastly, the international demand and the international side that you brought up, sir, with regard to where international countries are going, the demand for these technologies, these Moore's Law technologies, are there. And if the United States isn't there to provide solutions, then we risk putting our warfighters at risk with systems that we're not nearly as familiar with and aren't interoperable with regard to building partnership capacities and building partnerships. It's going to be a key part of this of the new QDR.
How about some more audience questions?
I guess primarily for Mr. Crawford, sir. To the extent you're able to, I know it's still a contentious issue, but I was wondering if you could offer an update on the KCX contract bid that's planned for this summer, so forthcoming. And also, how are our international partners in the tanker bidding process perceiving this? I haven't heard about that in a while. So.
Okay, we have, it's one of the things from a tanker perspective, we understand that the Air Force is getting ready to release a draft RFP sometime in the very near future. And then followed with a request for proposal, and they're telling us a contract award sometime in early next year. One of the things for both us and Northrop Grumman, who are going to be the two teams in this, we're really looking forward to see what the requirements are from the customer, make sure they're very clearly defined. The Air Force has gone back and really scrubbed the process because both of us, we have different options that we can put forward in order to meet the customer's requirements and win the competition. So both of us are excited about this moving back forward again. We made some announcements at the Paris Air Show for the Boeing company that if the requirements lend itself towards a large airplane, that we'd be willing to offer a 777 tanker or a 767 tanker. So we've actually called ours a 7A7. So in terms of a tanker offering, until we really know what the Air Force's requirements are, because we're waiting to see how they define that. I think I need to give equal time to my...
Don't worry, I won't get into a bun fight on this one. My area of expertise is fighters, but representing Northrop Grumman in the Paris Air Show comments that were recently brought out is, the bottom line is, I've received gas from you flying the KC-135, and looking at those tail numbers as I'm flying along, I'm with you 100%, and so is Northrop Grumman with regard to fulfilling the warfighter requirement for new tankers. Northrop Grumman was the winner of the competition initially. That's since been retracted, and so I think I join you with regard to trying to figure out exactly what the warfighter needs for requirements, who the acquisition authority will be, et cetera, et cetera.
And I think to follow on your other question in terms of what other countries, I think both of us, both EADS on behalf of Northrop Grumman and the Boeing company have sold our tankers internationally. So we would expect that the Air Force customers, they would go and assess our performance and capabilities, would take a look at how we're meeting our contractual obligations and how our aircraft and systems are performing, along with our manufacturing capability, and all those things are inherent with a competition. So I think we're both geared up and excited about what's going to be coming up.
If I can follow, how much interest was there at Paris Air Show from our allies and partners globally?
I know from our perspective there was a significant amount because we've already delivered, and our Japanese tankers are operational, and we'll be delivering our Italian tankers later this year. And I think it was 4 years ago we actually took the first Italy tanker into the Paris Air Show. So every time we come back, there are questions about when their aircraft are going to be fully operational. But that's the one we're doing for the Italians is the most complex tanker that the Boeing company has made out of the 2,000 tankers that we've put together. So it's exciting technical challenge for us.
Thanks.
Well, I do want to, since we're talking tanker, I want to acknowledge a previously submitted question to the panel, if you're aware. If anyone on the panel knows when all Air Force Reserve components C-135Es are programmed to be upgraded to ours or KCX. Not soon enough?
Yeah. No, that certainly is one for the Air Force addressed, but the Air Force's plan all along as they take a look at replacing all of the 135s, the E's and R's, and eventually the KC-10s is to try and go with a mix of smaller and larger tankers, very similar to what they have right now. They'll have to take a look at what that mix is going to be in terms of number of airplanes, and also whether they want to start with the smaller tanker first or the larger tanker first. So a lot of those will be going in. The Air Force has talked openly about having 3 tranches of tankers, KCX, KCY, KCZ, if you want to call it that. And if you think about it in terms of trying to replace over 600 airplanes, it's going to be very expensive and a very long program in order to do that. So regardless as this goes forward, there's no guarantee that whoever wins the first contract will win the second or win the third. So that, as we see it, that's the way the Air Force is proceeding ahead right now. And I haven't seen anything recently that changed that flight path. Okay.
Good. More questions from the quiet side.
Again, Mark Western from Deputy Assistant Secretary of Air Force for Reserve Affairs. It's been postulated that the F-35 is going to be the last manned fighter. How do you guys view people in airplanes in the future? And it kind of, if you think way back to when Star Wars came out, it kind of obsoletes that whole model.
I think I'll opine that that is a distinct possibility. That I think with the production run of the F-35 going out into the arguably 2050, 2060 timeframe, when we'll still be flying that platform, that it could very well be. I don't think people still thought we'd be making F-16s today and upgrading F-16s today. They have often said that the last F-16 pilot isn't even born yet, so any of your kids or grandkids could still be an F-16 pilot, and I think the same or even more so will be true about F-35. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's even to exaggerate the point. But there are very exciting things going on with the unmanned systems. The Navy's looking at certain programs, Navy UCAS, shipboard capability, et cetera, the Predator and Reaper fleets, and then there's a lot of exciting things going on in Global Hawk, et cetera, and how those will all integrate back to the manned platform. And I think that's the area that people are spending much of their time, is how do you get the information to the person who is going to act on that decision. And oftentimes that may be in an air vehicle like the F-35 that his job is to deliver ordnance, oftentimes, or to some other system where the person isn't necessarily flying, but to get the information from all those air-breathing and space-breathing platforms to the person that's actually going to push the pickle button when the time comes, so that they have all the information they need to make the right decision.